This is Dorothy with Ducky Grows. Thanks for stopping in. Today we're going to talk about making compost tea. My last video I showed the general hydroponic solution and using some other solutions like Miracle-Gro to feed your hydroponic system. Neither one of those are considered organic. I'm a big fan of organic. I'm also a big fan of not buying things. So we're going to learn to do some compost tea for hydroponics. Now, compost tea is something that most gardeners have done before, so it's pretty standard. What I have here is I have a 5-gallon bucket, and I actually got some organic worm castings. So we have worm castings, a bucket, and just a little air stone. That's really all you need, that and some water. So we're going to fill this up with some water in a second, but basically the only difference between doing it for hydroponics and doing it for your normal garden is because most hydroponic systems have a pump, you don't want any of the leftover debris to get caught in the pump. So just for safety, we have the 5-gallon, this is just a 5-gallon paint strainer. You can buy it at any hardware store. So what I do first is I put the 5-gallon paint strainer in the 5-gallon bucket. So you have that all set up. Now we're going to do the same as we would do normally if we were doing soil gardening. We'd fill it up with water, put some of this in, put the aeration in, and also, which I forgot to bring out to the table, molasses. Molasses will feed the bacteria. The sugars in the molasses will feed the bacteria and really get a nice compost tea going for us. So let me go fill this up with water, and I'll remember to bring back the molasses. Thanks. Okay, so I filled the bucket about halfway with water. I remembered my molasses. When you do molasses, make sure you get the ones that are sulfur free. What they do sometimes to preserve molasses is they put sulfur in the mixture, and that way it's more shelf stable. The problem is the sulfur will kill the bacteria that you're trying to grow. So make sure, and this one specifically says 100% pure unsulfured fancy molasses. As long as it says that, you're fine. So we have our worm castings, we have our water in our bucket, and we're just going to basically put it together. I'm making a little bit of a mess here, but it's all right. I'm also using a spoon versus a stick, which is what I would normally use to stir stuff like this, but since I have this net on here, I don't want a stick to wreck or rip the net. So I'm just going to put probably what amounts to, I don't know, it's really just an art. Just put about 10 good scoops of worm castings in there. That looks about right. And then we're going to add just a squirt of molasses, probably about 3 tablespoons. That's my recipe. And basically what it is again, the molasses is a sugar that will feed the good bacteria in here, and the bacteria will grow. And then just give it a good stir. And again, because it's a hydroponic system, you can't have any of those little pieces getting in the way. So we'll pull out all the stuff at the end, and what pours out will be a really high nutrient value solution. So the only other thing we want to do is we want to give that bacteria a little bit of air. So I have an air stone here hooked up. Just going to throw that in here to give it a little bit of air bubbles. Actually, I'm going to put that under the net so it stays in a good spot and I don't make a mess. Kind of recommend doing this outside if you can, but you can be neat with it. So that's it. So we have our net, our worm castings, a little bit of molasses, and some air. And we're going to let this sit for a couple of days. 2 days is usually best. And we'll come back and we'll see what we have. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll cut back to this in just a minute. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since we put our compost tea together, and you can see the water has been bubbling away. So it's all set now, so I'm going to shut off my water bubbler. You really only have to let this sit for a couple of days. That's just to get everything going on molasses and everything. I'm going to take out the soil, and again, we put it in this liner because this is a hydroponic system, and you really want to make sure that there's no junk that can clog your filters. So I'm gonna let that drain for a minute, but I'm gonna transfer it to another bucket. And we'll take that and put it outside into our outside garden. But now we just have nice compost tea, and we're gonna put this directly into one of our hydroponic systems. So let's go do that now. So this is just a couple cups of our compost tea. I'm gonna pour it right into, I'll make some drips. Pour it right into our planter, and that's just going to circulate around. It's going to act like a regular hydroponic solution, and the plant should do really well with this. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep you updated on how the compost tea does. And actually, next week, please tune in, because what we're going to do is we're going to do an experiment where we're going to set up 3 different growing systems, all equally the same, except one is going to be done with generic Miracle-Gro, one will be done with a hydroponic solution, and one will be done with compost tea. And that way we can see really which one does the best. With all other things being equal, what makes your plants grow the best. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.